Order, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Can everybody hear us? Can you hear us?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of
This is Dick Myers.
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible. With liberty and justice for all. We can't see any of you.
Okay. So next we're going to start with the approval of the minutes.
That's it. We can't see you. We can't see you.
It's right in front of me. Oh, it's the
The
camera.
only person I can see is Samantha.
Okay, hang on. Okay, how do you put the camera on? Yep. Mhm.
There you go. Thank you.
Yep, okay. So first, the approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read through the March 5th minutes? Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to accept them. Neil, second. Don, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so before we do Randy's report, Karen McComb has to leave, so she wants to give the library report quickly. So I'm going to turn this screen so you guys can see Karen. Probably. Karen has the floor.
Okay, I thank you very much for making that adjustment to your schedule. But I wanted to address a question that was brought up after the previous town board meetings, concerning an annual report, which listed the number of resident patrons who had library cards versus the number of non-residents who had library cards. And there was a discrepancy. It listed 865 non-residents and 649 resident ones. Wanted to tell you where 865 non-resident card holders comes from, because it seemed to be quite a spread. We are within the SAL system, which includes 34 libraries within Hamilton, Saratoga, Washington, Warren County. Anybody who lives within any of those counties are eligible to a library card from any South library, ours included. In fact, my daughters, 2 daughters, my 2 grandchildren have cards from the Lake Pleasant Library, but they are listed as non-resident, because when you come in and fill out that application, you have to put down what your primary residence is. Theirs is Saratoga. They're eligible for a card here because they're part of the system. And you can take any of those 4 counties, and any of those people can come in here and get a library, and many of them do. Not only because they might be visiting somebody here, or frequently visit somebody here, or frequent our library, but they got their card at this library. But they're listed as a non-resident because their primary address is in another, outside the speculator lake, the mailing address. The second homeowners also come in and get a library card. They have to put down a secondary address. Because they are property owners, and because they are taxpayers here, they are eligible also to get a library card, but they are listed as non-residents because this is their secondary residence, but they're still eligible to get a card. So that swells that number of non-resident card holders. People who are coming in, perhaps staying at Moffitt's Beach for the weekend, or frequenting one of our bed and breakfasts or Airbnbs, they are not eligible to get a card here because they are not taxpayers. They might not, unless they're part of the SAL system, which is possible. But we do not issue library cards to them. They have the opportunity to browse books that we have that are either free or by donation, or we direct them to the Friends Room where they can either take a book or give a donation. The reason that we do not charge for library cards, and our board is very much in favor of not doing that, is because in the past, when books have gone out through a transient population, they have a tendency not to have a good responsibility in returning that item to us, whether it be a movie or a book, and the cost and the manpower of recouping that money and that item becomes time inefficient and cost ineffective. So they are not issued a library card. If you look at the number of people who have library cards, therefore, it is those, the resident ones now, the page for those who have mailing addresses and live here permanently in Pleasant River. I mean, that clears it out.
It probably does,
absolutely
but
does.
now that you've narrowed it down to that, this is a tremendous percentage of our townspeople.
Right.
649, I mean, we're under 900 probably total.
Exactly. If you look at the total population of
That's tremendous.
I wish I remember the numbers. Speculator alone, according to the 2000 census, had 300 something.
Yep.
Langston had 600 something because it went down from the previous census. So if you look at that number, now granted that's total population, so if you look at that number, this is the number of card holders in our area alone that have it, it should support. And when you look at charging for a library card, we had one of our trustees who contacted other libraries similar to ours, Scrooge, for example, that are population, St. George, population, they don't charge for library cards. I have been to areas that have charged for library in a significant amount. I might be in an area of Colorado for a couple of weeks. I could get a card for maybe $25 to take out a book for a couple of weeks. I know Nancy has been to a library in another state where they charge an exorbitant amount for a copy to be made. I believe she mentioned.
Which is kind of dissonant.
That's not who we are.
Right.
It's just not who we are. We have, I can name two, and I'm sure there's more patrons of our library, but not eligible library cards, who have library cards, who helped us to pay for this gallery system out here, to hang this artwork, and paid for these two chairs because of their generosity and the fact that they support this library without a library card. My point is, it's not just about money. It's about goodwill.
Well, the other ones you mentioned, obviously, you're trying to engage. They're not doing anything to
Right.
Draw people, and maybe we feel like enough traffic.
Whatever. So I just wanted to make that clear where those numbers came from. I think it was important.
Thank you for clarifying that, because it really does open up everybody's
Yeah.
eyes to understand it better.
Well,
Absolutely.
it opens up the fact that yes, we do get a lot of support locally.
Yeah.
And also we get some support from patrons who are not our patrons who appreciate what we have.
Yep.
And that's one example. This gallery system's another example.
Mhm.
We hope that continues.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions?
Any questions, anybody?
Well, it's a nice report.
Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so. Okay, so next we're gonna move on to Randy Highway.
Anyhow,
We'll start off with some other towns and such have noticed in the paper filed for extensions. Just people ask myself where we are with them. And we had filed the extensions back in October for a 4-year extension because I figured that's the max, we'll just get it and be done. I just confirmed with them finally today that I filed extensions for all projects, so that means 4 of them that we got paid for, or 3 of them that we have already got paid for. The extensions are still on the record, so it's causing a little bit of a grief group, but
that was the catch up.
yeah. So, we straightened that out today. There's no 4 extensions there for other projects. McLaren Road is, the gates are up probably for another month as usual. If anybody asks anybody, it's gonna be a while. Still snow covered. I've already gotten phone calls, so that's when it's gonna open. We are sweeping roads, and tomorrow we'll be sweeping roads and also watering the road, so that we don't have a dust cloud that the state of New York has to take on the state highway. I heard they were sweeping the state road without any kind of water. And it was a very dangerous situation. Chips. I don't know if I discussed this guys last time or not. We are getting 95% of what they took back last year. We are getting that put back into it. But we are only getting, instead of 75%, we're getting 95% this year. At this point, the governor has once the budget passed, he can change the effort. So that's the letter I got from them in writing from Chips. So it's substantially more than we had last year. So
Yeah, good.
we put away for the summer. All the maintenance is done on those, done very well. The library tents, I gave back to Mike Fisher today about them. He is going to order them. That way, since he's installing them, he gets lots as far as trim, so on. And I told him that we would quit them, but he's, and he inquired more so about insulation art and stuff. And I told him I was working on it also, which I haven't gotten to. The 284, do you have a spot for that, or do you?
No, go right into it.
Okay, the annual 284 shows where I plan on spending money this year, the highway department. It is Hanley Road, the first 1,500 feet or 1,600 feet. And then Page Street, the section right before Moffitt's Beach. And also including in that is the culvert that was from Echo Lake over to Secondary. That is 4 foot by 6 foot culvert that's just rotted out underneath. And before we do any paving over it, I'd like to replace it. Plus, it's a very rough section of road over there. And then the remainder of the money is going to, as far as we can, go down Giltown Road, paving that. I'm not sure exactly how far we're going to get because the numbers are not out there yet, and I don't know what I'm getting from the state. But I would say at least a mile of it, up to 3 miles.
Nice. I mean, a lot of plans, sure. Okay. Yeah.
Also in there for years since it was Neil here, when we paved the front part of the fire department, were you in office? They've been asking for the top coat to be put on, and that is going to be done this spring. Just
It'll keep it a little longer, yeah.
that's all I have.
Any plans in the works for eventually Hamilton Lake Road?
Doing what it is.
Any paving Hamilton Lake Road?
We paved it last.
It's already been
Oh, is
done.
it? Okay, I didn't even know.
Yep.
Shows so much I know.
They don't budget like they used to. COVID's really kept us at home.
Yeah, we paved it last year with all the FEMA repairs that we had to do.
And it's great.
So,
Yeah, I took,
don't get me wrong, it's only a base coat,
Yeah.
so we're gonna have to revisit that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but you can chip seal.
we chip sealed over it last fall,
Yeah.
and then we should top it at some point, but.
And it stood up to all those logging trucks coming in and out of there. Boy, there's been a lot.
Yeah, that was disconcerting when, just after you did it this year. Because Because you never know where the next.
I know what
Auburn
they, but
slalom
you haven't
is gonna
seen it
be.
since they clear cut from Reservoir Hill all the way down to the golf course.
I
So there was a lot going on.
Sorry. I saw, took Gilltown Road twice in the last couple of weeks, and quite frankly, for the amount of, winter we had, it's pretty good shape. Oh, we were just.
I was like, what'd I do wrong? You guys are wrong.
Okay, so Randy, you're pretty much done?
I'm done except for signing of that.
Mm-hmm. They read it, but they didn't sign it, so we had to pass it back to them.
Yep.
And then Randy, you'll take it, I'll give it to you in the morning, and you'll take it to
Yep,
Tracy to
once you
get
sign it,
signed?
I can bring it up to Tracy and then we'll make copies.
Okay.
It has to be at the county and I think that'd be.
Oh, yep, okay,
That's something
perfect.
you emailed Betsy? 'Cause I don't remember getting it.
No, I didn't email that, that came from Randy, he had to
I'm
fill it
sorry.
all out.
The last thing I heard getting out of the car tonight,
Okay.
coming in here, was a record high of breaking the $200 billion mark for the state budget is what they're
Really?
proposing. So, the largesse of getting all of 95% on chips and so on. It's going to hold
That would be
up.
awesome.
Yeah, we're hoping.
They better. For that.
Okay,
We're
so.
hoping we get more than that.
200 billion.
So next on the, on our committee report was Youth Rec, Samantha DeRocha. Sam, can you hear us? Okay, okay, you wanna talk and everybody will listen?
Hey, no problem. Sorry I'm not there. I know I was supposed to be, but I decided to step on a Hot Wheels car this morning and fall and hurt my shoulder really bad. So what I figured out so far is I'm going to change things up a little bit this year, just based on my work schedule and stuff like that. Instead of doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was looking into doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It'd still be approximately 9 to 12. Our trip days would be Wednesdays this year. I was
Wednesday, Sam?
thinking about maybe, I'm sorry?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays?
Correct. I was thinking about seeing if changing it to the afternoon would be a little bit better because I was told that summer school is going to be going from like 8 to 12 this year, but I don't know how well that would work with parents. So it's kind of on the back burner, but it's a thought to send something to school to see if anybody would be interested more in having it in the afternoon. But it's going to be from July 12th till August 18th, the normal 6 weeks. And we have everything sort of planned out. We've got Mondays would be more of our craft days and just sit down and do those kind of things with them. Tuesdays would be our activity days, like with them playing kickball, doing soccer, having like 3-legged races, and also having like our safety week again, where we would invite EMS, police, and fire companies to come and talk to the kids. One of the new things we wanted to do this year would be to go to Fort Stanwix, which is in Rome. It's one of the revolutionary forts around here, so I thought it would be kind of fun for them. Also, we have Dave Babette also said he might be interested in coming and doing a shop project with the kids. So I just gotta start finalizing some of the trip places because some of the stuff they aren't open yet and they're not sure exactly how they're going to be doing their group admissions yet. So it's starting to come together for summer rec. It's just finalizing little details. Once again, we're going to be opening up the golf lessons for everybody. I spoke with Christy Wilt, and it's going to be the same thing. Just contact her. 1-hour lessons with a year membership. And something new that was brought to my attention was the horseback riding lessons out at Yoder Stables on Oxbow Road. So I went out and I met with with Kristen, and she's able to do 1-hour lessons, and she can only do 2 kids at a time. It's going to be ages 7 and up. And there's specific times that she can do them, like Mondays and Fridays. It can only be after 2. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, she can do it on any time. Lessons would basically consist of basic horse care, learning horses, learning how to take care of them, learning how to properly tack a horse so you can ride properly, the actual lessons, and then you learn how to brush, untack, restall, and just some basic maintenance to teach them the responsibility of it's not just a lesson, but you have to take care of the horse as well. But we don't want to get too far into it. We don't want people to think, oh, we have to work too much and we just wanted lessons. So it's a little bit of both.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good thing. It's going to be $30 an hour per kid, which isn't too horrible. She raised it 5 from what she was charging because they're going to be putting a new arena in. I'm going to try to get all the permission slips and stuff like that for lessons, golf lessons and riding lessons all set this week. I spoke with Sherry, and she also said that any days that we can't do anything at the pavilion, we're more than welcome to do it at the library. So that has a safe alternative in case of bad weather as well. And then the only thing is I have one application for an aide, so I'd be looking into possibly getting one more. I mean, 2 would be good, but I don't know exactly how that would fit because I'm not sure if that would be in the budget or if it's just 2. Because it'd be approximately 17 hours a week. So it would be approximately 4 hours Mondays and Tuesdays, 7 hours on the Wednesdays, excuse me. So it actually turns out to be approximately 103 hours over the summer.
This is Nancy. I just wanted to ask if some of this perhaps you could put in a written report, or if you have a copy.
Yeah, I planned on typing it up. It just kind of got a little difficult today with only having one hand.
Right, I can understand that, but it would help us because we're all taking notes diligently. But I know I've missed some of it.
I know Chris said something this morning about it, and I planned on it, but then all this happened. So
if you could just email it to Debbie and she'll get it out to everybody.
Okay, perfect.
That would be great.
Thank you.
Good job.
And hopefully, like you said, it works out, but I'm not sure if I should. I mean, do you think I should just leave it the way it is, or put something out to the parents to see if the afternoons would be better? Because I know a lot of kids go to summer school even though they don't actually technically need it. It's just to continue so they don't lose anything.
The swimming lessons are usually in the afternoon. Have you heard if the village is doing them?
No, I haven't, but it's something I'd have to look into. I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it this year, if they were going to be able to. I can ask when I drop off the pavilion usage sheet tomorrow. I'm sorry, you guys faded out, so if I missed anything, I'm sorry.
Oh, that'd be great. If you can get that information and add that in your report that you send to Debbie, then we'll all have the same information.
Okay, sounds good.
So Smith, I'm gonna go ahead and proceed to advertise for one aide.
Yeah, just,
Okay.
yeah, one aide should be good because I think that was all that was in the budget because nothing really changed from last year. So that would be good. And like I said, I have an application for one aide, so just need one more.
Okay, great. Well, I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time.
No problem.
All righty. Take care, Sam. Okay, so next we have Aaron Weaver to give his town historian report. Aaron?
Yeah, mind if I just go a little closer?
Come closer.
I mean, my voice does project, but I'll do that. Can you guys hear me? Hello. I'm guessing this is being recorded as well. So for those who are listening, I'm Aaron Weaver, the municipal town historian of Lake Pleasant. I was asked to bring forth a report of what I hope, as a town historian, of what I have hopes to do for this year. And what I've done is, for those who are listening, I printed out the New York State law and requirements of a historian, whether it's in a town or a village or a county or whatever. And you can find this online. You can Google it very easily. Just look up laws for a historian of New York State. And what I did was they have in order what is recommended for a historian to do. And I am considered a municipal historian. I am voted in, I believe, every year if they wish to continue voting me in. And so this is, we have written down our requirements. I'm not going to go through the requirements because that will take forever. But what I did was I wrote down my goals by each requirement that is considered of me and plus more. One of the things that's considered of a town historian is to do research and writing. And last year, when I was accepted as town historian, I did that almost immediately. I was excited. I started to do, I already had a bit of knowledge and research around me, and I started writing 3 historical booklets, and I presented them to the Chamber of Commerce, and they said, you know, this would be great for tourism. And I'm like, you're right, because this is history, places where people can go to and visit. And that is part of my job as a historian in New York State, is to help build up tourism within the local communities. And so we were able to print out these booklets, and they are available at both here in the library and at the Chamber of Commerce. And so I encourage people who are listening to go and pick up these booklets of local history and to leave a donation so we can help keep these booklets and publish, because this is stuff that's really well worth being preserved. And one of my goals is to make 3 more booklets of local history of places where people can go to and visit, that's on public land or areas that people can see. One of them I've already did was the timeline of the town of Lake Pleasant. I just did that for myself because as a historian, it's hard to keep everything in your head. So I made this timeline out, and it was so beneficial that we may make it as one of the booklets for the public to have in their own collection. Another one is the history of Moffitt's Beach, or Moffitt's Campground. And I'm not going to give too much of a history, but it's connected to the CCC camp, it's connected to the county jail, and it's connected to a Civil War veteran who has been buried here. So there's a lot of history surrounding Moffitt's Beach, and I cannot wait to get that booklet together. Another one is the history of Conjuma Cave. That's what I call it, more of a mystery, because a lot of our history in this area is actually that. It's a lot of mystery and legends. And that is very exciting. So I thought I would do a little bit more research on Conjuma Cave and the theories of its origin, and also some other natural landmarks like Bidwell's Hotel. A lot of people don't know about that place, but yet you see it all the time when you go down Gilman Town, the Split Rock. And there's some other natural landmarks in our area that has a cool history connected to it. So I thought I would do a booklet on that. I have been doing on social media is posting old photos. And what I do is I would post them on my Facebook page, but that's my own private thing. I would forward them onto public Facebook groups, such as you know if you were in Speculator, or I even put in the Hamilton County, the Adirondack History and Legends group as well. And I post these photos because as a historian, I realize that a lot of our history is disappearing because it's not written down. And one of these things in history is oral history, is people's memories. So when I post pictures, I see people's responses and their stories, and and the great times that they have, whether it was at a hotel or a restaurant or some kind of public building or at a church or anything. And then I will copy those stories and I will save them on paper and save them in our archives so that in future research, people will ask me questions. Well, what do you know about this building? I said, well, let me grab this. Well, you know, this person has this memory and this person has that. And that's very important. I think that's very important to our community. So that's what I do there. Okay, number 2 is teaching and public presentation. Well, one of the things as a historian is that I am supposed to help connect with our local schools. And I am supposed to, according to New York State, it recommends me to connect with grades 4th and 7th. Now, of course, if the schools want to do other grades, I'm great with that. But it's to bring forth local history that will work with their curriculums. And I would love to do a field trip within the next school year or maybe after to either the Colonel Peck's grave or to Rylander's estate and have them walk there and we would learn the history. So it would be a field trip. And so I have been trying to connect with Lake Pleasant School. I'm going to connect again. It's always trying to hit the right timing and all that. But I would really like to do that with the future generation of our community. Another thing is historical preservation. And I wrote down learn or have help with grants to place cast iron historical markers. The Historical Society, which is a separate thing from me, sometimes we intertwine, so it gets confusing. I understand that. And as a historian, I am supposed to help local historical organizations. But one of the things that they did was they would put up these beautiful, and we have a lot of beautiful historical markers. There is a sad part to it, though. They're made out of wood. Mm-hmm. And wood does not last very long. So I would love to, in the future, start looking for grants and learning how to do grants. I would like to learn that as well. And to replace some of these historical markers with good cast iron, something that will last longer than my own lifetime. Mm-hmm. I think that's very important. And a lot of these historical markers are well worth preserving. And also, you can also get grants for not just history, but also legends and lore. And we have some Native American and other legends around this area that I think deserves a few historical markers, if I can get grants for it. I think that would be really a lot of fun. All right, organization, adversity, advocacy, and tourism. Again, tourism is a very important part of my position here as a historian because history is part of tourism, whether it's a historical museum, historical markers, locations. Traditionally, my mom started this when she began as town historian for this community. Every other year, she would do Rylander's, Colonel Peck's, Rylander's, Colonel Peck's. I want to continue that. I thought that was a good idea, and we have kudos of history on that, which is wonderful. And so this year, I want to do Colonel Peck's grave. Last year, we did do Rylander's. And I want to do Colonel Peck's grave this year, and hopefully we'll be able to do it. Right now, the bridge has been washed away. I heard that possibly the state might rebuild that bridge. If that's the case, I would like to do 3 different tours within coronavirus regulations and to go and visit Colonel Peck's grave. I think this is very important to our community because Colonel Peck's history has 3 different histories connected to it. One, it was when our town was given birth, and it was when we started anew. Number 2, it's connected to a terrible plague that has spread throughout the community, and somebody was buried there who was not a family member because of that plague. And number 3 is a reminder of how things can disappear, as well as, and that's what happened to Peck's farm. It's all now state land, it's gone. And I think that's connected to our history, and I think this is great timing. So I would really like to do that tour. I think that's very important. Now, I have 3 different dates for that. One is in July because Lieutenant Colonel Lauren Peck was a Revolutionary War officer. And 4th of July is a perfect time, around near that time is perfect. One in August for those who come during the busy time in the summer, who would like to be on the tour. And one in September for those who have to work in the summertime, but really want to take the tour. This would be beneficial to them. Okay, addition. Or did I miss anything? Nope. Okay, addition. Will the town library have a hands-on lecture and or advertise about Ancestry.com being available at the town library? A lot of people don't know this, but a town historian, Hamilton County, any kind of New York State government historian is not supposed to totally be involved with ancestry research. We will give information that's available about certain people that's within the records or knowledge, but that we leave to professional researchers. Now, Hamilton County does not have an official ancestral researcher, but the town has been very generous to allow the library for free access to the public to use Ancestry.com so that families can do their own research. And that's great. And I very much encourage and back that up all the way. And even though I cannot fully help people with that kind of ancestral research, I can send people to the library. But there's a lot of people who do not know how to use the website. And I have to confess, even myself, I have struggles with it. And so I and a lot of people, we need to be educated how to use these websites. So I'm hoping if I could eventually connect with the library and have programs to learn how to use Ancestry.com so that people in the future, or even myself, can help people do their ancestral research. Another thing is to help the village historian prepare for the village speculator 100th anniversary. I just wrote down notes. Did you know that this Wednesday is the birthday of the town of Lake Pleasant? Happy birthday, Lake Pleasant! We are, let me see if I have it written down. Yes, we are going to be 209 years old this Wednesday. Congratulations. But the village speculator in 2025 will be 100 years old. I am going to try and help with Beth Hoffman, who is the village historian. I will help her wherever she needs me to bring forth that celebration to the village of Speculator. So I'm excited about that. That is going to be, hopefully will be a great celebration. Future ideas. I would love to bring back the history bus tours. The town used to have, I believe it was through the town, correct me if I'm wrong. And what we would do is we would connect with the school, they would provide the buses, and we would have a historical map of different locations, and we would take a bus tour.
Nice idea.
Yeah. It was done many times before, and it has always had great praises. I was never involved because I had to work. But I hope in the future I will be able to bring that back with the help of the town. And we can do that. That's a great tourism thing. And that is also a great way to teach a lot of local history in such a short time. I do hope in the future there will be an office available for the historian. I know that's a big thing. I'm just bringing it out. The reason is because a lot of my historical stuff is located on private property. And as much as I do encourage history being preserved in people's private homes, I think it would be wise to have it within a public land area.
How big of a space are you looking for, Aaron, just to store your stuff?
All I'm asking is for space, it's like a cubicle. A place for a desk, for shelves, for a computer.
But I'm saying you don't have any artifacts or
old books that he
No,
wants to
no, I
find?
don't have artifacts. And as a
Shades,
town
pictures.
historian, I am not supposed to. I'm not supposed to collect artifacts.
So, I don't mean object, I mean pieces of paper, like your books or stuff like that, do you need storage, like, like I have in my vault?
Bookshelves.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be stored in a fireproof vault.
No, everything that is stored in a fireproof vault, this is why a lot of people, this is where we separate the town historian and the historical society. The historical society was started because there needed to be something to store and collect research and artifacts. Okay? A government historian can't do that, but a historical society can.
Right, we've got a good historical society, of course, it tends to the museum, and that's where artifacts should be.
Yes,
Would
and
that
there's
be-
a fireproof vault in there.
Right, and at a risk of ruffling our friends, those at the village, for a public space, desk, cubicle, or any place where public can be with you, I think we should look into a joint office space for the village and town historian at the village hall, which they're very blessed to have a whole lot more space than does town hall. My first notes here, when I read your notes, was to have about any space in the museum, but that's seasonal. and
Oh, well,
difficult.
I wasn't gonna bring forth the museum. I
Well,
was
but
gonna bring
I-
forth the library.
But as I say, if the library was willing to carve out space, but because there's so much overlap between the town and village historian work anyway, it's a wonderful location, and I'd be happy to meet with, or, to broach that subject with them. I think it's a great idea to have a desk and a cubicle. I know that there's no space in the town hall.
Like I said, this is
Well, it could be
this
something
is just
that's
future ideas.
easily,
And that's why I'm just bringing this
Fleshed
forward down.
Mhm.
I want it to be mentioned so that in the future, if there are opportunities, because I'm not complaining, I'm very glad
great idea.
for being able to do this at home, especially with this coronavirus that's been
Mhm.
happening. I've been able to do a lot of research. But we do need a place where, as a historian, I can communicate with the public
Mhm.
and do that kind of stuff. But again, that's a future thing. Now, I did suggest the library. That was just a suggestion, because a lot of towns and villages uses the library also for historical records and research. That's just a thought. But again, this is, I said, this is future ideas.
We got plenty between us.
I'm not worried about
So
it.
what about this historian's jamboree?
We did do it once. And it wasn't as much a success as we wanted to. But
Bring a lot of crazy people in.
oh, absolutely, we love bringing them. But yes,
Wild party.
it would be nice to create a yearly public event for Hamilton County historians to gather together and share their local history, a history fair. And I would like to eventually in the future to start this. And it cannot just be the town of Lake Pleasant. This is more of a county thing.
Sure.
But it's got to start somewhere. And it would be great if it would start here and then eventually move from different towns throughout the county every year. It would be a lot of fun, and I can show off what knowledge I have, what knowledge other people have. It would be great. But again, that's a future.
Just to back you up, when you've mentioned tourism a few times, I can assure you, my time in the county as the chairman on the tourism, it's always in the top 3 or 4 listed of those folks who are surveyed for visits to the Adirondacks. Driving tours is the number 1, but hikes, and then hikes have several sort of breakouts, including historical things. Folks come to areas outside of where they come from and want to know background. And then as far as you're doing stuff on social media with pictures, I think it's really critical here, because this county, probably more than any other county in the state, most of their history in buildings are wood frame buildings, and they leave us.
Yes.
You go most every other place and you're filled up with churches and other important buildings that are 200 years old, with the exception of the county courthouse. don't have stone buildings, and so because I think your markers should be, as you put, cast, and pictures and pictures and pictures, and getting them out there for folks, because the buildings leave us.
Now, I didn't put this on here, but it's the last thing I wish to talk about. It's what I have been doing these past few months, just to let you update. As you know, I'm still doing research on the little booklets, but what I have been doing through the Historical Society, because of Town Historian, I help provide the Historical Society some information and everything. One of the things that my mother did, and I helped her with it because I was the creative one, she was the brains. We made all these historical posters. We put them in the Lane Emporium and in the bank. And we eventually want to do is put historical posters in all the businesses. Old businesses are still standing. And we're already, we put 3 here in the library just earlier this year. And we hope to continue to do so and see if any local businesses would want a poster of their building, the history of their building, for customers to enjoy while they're eating or while they're just walking in.
Now and then. Yeah.
So a lot of things are
Good stuff,
happening.
Really good stuff.
A lot of things are happening.
I got 2 quick questions.
Yes.
Colonel Peck's grave, the trailer, he says, maintained by the state.
Oh, okay. Okay. When you have a trail that is constantly used, it becomes grandfathered in. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
The state, I heard, the state would like placed in their budget to have that bridge rebuilt. And I heard that they were supposed to do it last year, but because of the flooding and everything, it was put to the wayside. And that they would like to rebuild it this year. The state is in charge of the trail because it is state.
Do they keep it up pretty good?
Well, that's why last year I made maps and I really pushed the book on the history of this trail so that it will be used.
Okay.
And that's something that's very important. See, that's why we need to advertise a lot of these places, because if these nature trails are not used, they're gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Somebody, they don't come. Mm-hmm. Right.
That's why I want to get to Moffitt's grave, because Moffitt's wife and child.
That's what I was going to ask. I've ridden by, and I have to admit I've never been to Colonel Peck's grave.
Oh, I'll take you there.
But I've often gone by Moffett Beach, and I knew there was a grave back in there.
Yes.
And I was wondering if the state does anything to keep that trail up, because there's no marker or trailhead or anything.
Unless the state has a special obligation to certain trails, they will not keep it up. It's up to the public to constantly use those trails to keep them grandfathered in.
I would contact the current ranger for this town, because I know when John was rangering, he used to build bridges for the state, and perhaps they could put a little bee in the bonnet or something and get it going. I don't know the name of the ranger.
Well, all I know, like I said, I don't even know if they won't get built. So I'm waiting to see.
Well, you might need to
little hint.
Because
I don't know anything else than that. If the bridge won't wind up being built, it may have a great effect on doing a tourism trail there, because that stream is something else. And last year there was only boards on the floor, and I'm sure those boards are gone.
yeah, well, like the Moffett grave, if there's no trailhead, people aren't going to use it. So it's going to go by the wayside. So
That's why this is very important. Yeah. And like I said, I believe his wife and son are buried further out back, and a lot of people have forgotten where it is. I don't know where they're buried back there. I need to find that out so I can mark it.
Very handy for people at the campground.
Yeah.
So is there any more questions for Aaron?
Nice report.
Very nice.
Good job, Aaron. You're really doing a wonderful job.
Indeed.
We appreciate you. Thank
Very
you.
good.
Okay, next on the agenda is John Foley. You want to come up and talk a little bit about what you're doing at Town Hall,
Oh,
the
okay.
project?
So,
Do you
Uh,
need your?
yeah, I guess I can't hurt. So last year I, supplied an estimate to you guys about, revitalizing the bed above the wall. And then doing some things in the front of the building, just basically straightening the flowers, the existing flowers out, adding some compost and other soil nutrients to it just to make them healthier. And also to put a rock wall around the flagpole, take away the bricks that were there and then put them around, adding additional flowers to the areas, taking some of the flowers that I didn't feel match the building and putting them into the flower bed above the rock pool. And then I was told that the concrete walkway was going to be taken out. So then talking to a couple people, came up with a different estimate of making a flower bed from the existing walkway. If you're looking at the building from Route 8, from the existing walkway, going straight across to the next walkway, which comes out the middle door, and then going to the left to the next walkway that will be going directly to the parking lot. There'll be three, from what I'm told, there'll be 3 walkways coming out each door versus having. So the first suggestion and the estimate is against the building, we take the flowers away from the building. Number one, you should never have any growth next to a building.
Because it gets so hot.
Yeah, and you can't manage it, you can't expect things to grow properly, and up against the building, the flowers just don't give you the same look because they're more of a contrast. Bring them away, and it gives it more of a separation. So my suggestion is, in that spot, going along the front building, is I'll take the plants out. Some of them will be transplanted into the bed above the rock wall. That bed is, it would be too cost effective it would be cost effective to take the plants out that exist and trying to make a match. So with that bed, my vision is more of like an English garden where you have different flowers. Instead of having your just section where you have reds or this color, that color, it's basically just going to be popping up. It'll look real nice and it'll pop.
You're talking about the
up on the
west
wall.
part of the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So that area that goes against the front of the building, which is about this wide, I would say, take those plants out, transplant them, put some in pots until the other area is ready, and then level it out, not a big deal, and then put down paper, which weed control, and then put river rock. So that river rock would be the exact dimension that's already existing now, that goes up to the,
Like urban snakes.
what's that?
Like urban snakes.
No.
Oh, yeah, the big one.
Yeah.
Rocks, don't they bring snakes?
No snakes. These are snakeless. No.
She's never
No,
had
honestly, no.
snakes eat mice.
So,
There you go.
Yeah.
so the river rock would be in that area directly across, and then from that border coming out would be a 4-foot flower bed.
Oh, wow.
So you would have that going. So if you're looking at the building, like we said, you have 3 doors. So we'll go to the furthest door to the right, which I believe is your entrance.
Mhm.
So from where the walkway comes down, from that going all the way over to the next walkway would be a 4-foot flower bed going directly across. Then it'll come out around the flagpole, go to the middle walkway, then to the other side, go across. I would not go from the other walkway to the end of the building. I think that because we wouldn't be doing that on the opposite side where the existing tree is. Don't want to touch that tree. It's just,
My
and
favorite tree.
because the slope goes down to the driveway. And by doing that, I just think the plowing, it just wouldn't be,
Sounds great.
wouldn't be proper.
Yeah.
Now, around the flagpole, if the flagpole comes out, you have your handicap sign, and then the bed comes out. What I would like to suggest to do, is take about 2 feet out of that flower bed and move it closer to the flagpole, giving more room for the snow to be pushed up, because it needs room. And as you see every year,
bricks.
Right.
every year though, exactly, and, it's, you're pushing ice, you're pushing everything. So we bring that closer to the flagpole, and then that will come around it and incorporate into the flower bed that goes directly across, so it'll be one. So take those flowers out. The area that will no longer be flower bed, I will level off, rake in, put, seed, and then that would be part of the lawn. Once again, giving more room for,
And the boys can use it, they cut that grass can be able to be cut by the boys
Yeah,
on the tractor that they don't get off of.
yeah, I mean, the width wise, they might have to weed whack a little bit, but that, from what I see, that grass doesn't grow too quick. So I mean, not big, but so I
We
don't
go through a
think,
lot of rubber mats, those weed whackers. Yeah.
so, so that, so it wouldn't be a big deal. But it would be more.
Sounds good.
I'm trying to think. Okay.
Well, you brought the picture, so we have the picture.
Yeah, and just so you know, I did this last night, so, because I knew you guys were meeting, and this is, in my business, this is it. This is a crunch time. So, it's,
I have
spelling mistakes or anything else.
I have extensive landscape and gardening background, but it sounds great.
I was looking at them too, like,
We could get
Is
into
this
all
something we know not
John, it
about?
really sounds
It
nice.
sounds great. I'm so
Really
excited.
looking forward to it.
We've been
Especially
waiting
the
a lot
river
of years for this.
Yeah.
Okay, and, so when I was doing it, and because I'm not sure, actually, you had mentioned it, one of you two had mentioned it, my mind's been going. And so the thought,
We do that.
the thought, yeah, well, no, but it's good though, because, the creative side, but the thought is to put more flowers. The more flowers you have, the less weeding you have to deal with, and the more color you have. Why not have more color? And a lot of the flowers will spread. So the thought is, you put your group just like out in front of here, someone looks at it and says, well, there's space in between. Well, you've got to give room for the flowers to grow. And then over time, then you take them, you divide them up, and you can put them somewhere else. Versus just buying a little flower like this and it doesn't grow, doesn't spread.
These are all perennials.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well,
All perennials,
Run it
yeah.
by me.
Someone else's yard.
We don't need John, we got you.
So with what I proposed as the estimate, also, so included in it would be I would water everything for the first 7 days. That's the most important. And I have no problem going forward from then, if it's okay, if I could have access to the hose.
Yeah, and we do it from time to time too,
Yeah.
to
And
help out.
as long as, people know, well, everyone for the most part knows me in my truck, but that I will water. I go by there 10 times a day.
And you can't,
So-
one of us is available.
That's very nice to offer,
But,
John. That's
but
very
like,
nice.
like here, I have an interest because everyone sees it and my name's on it. So if it were to go forward, and
Do we need little signed flowers by Tom Foley?
yeah, but
Would be appreciated.
There's no plow here. I'll apologize for the corner on it. I didn't do it, but I know who did.
well, I just found the rocks tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they're in the gully across the.
Oh, yeah?
And I had a feeling they were. They were picked up, but that's okay. Well, that'll be our first project tomorrow morning.
Winter kill.
I think it sounds great, John.
It does sound great.
Sure
We
does.
really do need
Thank you.
sprucing up of that building,
Yep.
so we appreciate it.
So the one. I'm
Are
sorry.
you picturing a very informal look with round rocks or a little bit more in keeping with the building with?
I'm not doing
flat rocks?
no border rocks.
Okay.
So in the front of the bed, it'll be sloped up. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't mention that. So you have your grade from the grass, and then on the edge it'll go up, and then come down a little bit to the rocks, the river rock in the back. There would be no rock border in front of that.
Okay.
The reason why is number one, it's really difficult to weed whack around that, and the rocks can move. I think it looks clean with just the grass going right up to that, and it's also it's cheaper than picking rocks. And,
Well, we're really looking forward to it, John. We appreciate your time coming in here.
Help out any way we can too.
Absolutely.
so if you were to decide to go ahead with it, there's two choices of mulch, and it's either black or brown. My feeling is to go with black.
Absolutely.
Number one, it brings out the colors more.
And the brown's blending the brick.
Number two, it's easier. The brown tends to harden up, which can.
Yeah, the black definitely makes a problem. I totally agree.
Sounds good, John.
Sure does.
Now, this is an additional expense above
Yes.
what we already approved, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So the last year I started the above rock wall, and I think I built 300 and something for that work. So the remaining balance is 12 something.
Probably
From
one.
the original plan.
Yeah, from the original plan, yeah.
Right.
So the difference in cost, what the difference in cost would be about $1,000.
1,000 more.
Yeah. I honestly, it would never be above, but I feel strongly it'll be below that.
Okay, so is there any more discussion or questions for John? Okay, so I think I'm going to ask for a motion that we go ahead and move forward that John can go ahead and start. Does someone want to move it?
Is that our topic?
I'll move. Okay, Nancy's first. A second?
Second.
Neil? Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, John.
John,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It's gonna be obviously a couple weeks before we, okay.
I do not plant before June because we know, and
Yeah.
Go ahead. If I can get the concrete in there in May, I'll be very happy.
but I will work around. I drive by now if I can see when it's. Yeah, no, that's no problem. So, you want this back?
Thanks, John.
Yeah, unless
Thank
you
you,
need
John.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you coming and spending the time.
No.
Give me a call and counsel you need on flowers or anything.
Okay, so moving forward, are there any other committee reports?
I have a
Yeah.
15-second committee report. On the 28th of March, a Sunday, at their convenience, I met with Kathy O'Connell, Caitlin Stewart, and Rich Armstrong to just get the dialogue going regarding the septic committee, if that's such a thing, and get their ideas and share mine. We're going to sort of round it back out to see what, if anything, the village has already done. And, but it was an informal meeting, but I felt these folks are all LPSA and, of course, Caitlin, County Soil and Water. So they were very helpful and ideas for me. And as this fleshes out, I will keep the board running.
You know, I'm sorry, what, Caitlin Stewart, Rich
Caitlin Stewart,
Armstrong?
Rich Armstrong, and Kathy O'Connell. That's it for me.
Super. John, you had something, right?
The town garden, the community garden,
Mm-hmm.
we have someone that is willing to take charge of that, and I am willing to relinquish my post. Jim Burkholz and family will be taking charge of the town gardens, community gardens. Jim Burkholz.
Jim Burkholz.
Jim Burkholz. Mrs. Burkholz.
Jim's too busy to go.
Burkle, B-U-R-K-L-E, those Burkles?
No,
Burkholz.
it's Bergholz, I believe.
Burkholz.
Oh,
Burkholz.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
She and her family will be working. It sounds like they're very enthused about it.
Okay. Okay, Nancy, do you have anything?
No?
Okay, Chris?
Not a
committee? No committee report? Okay. Okay, so then we're gonna go ahead and move, along to old. Yeah, you can go, John. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm gonna turn the computer just for a bit.
We have pathways on the agenda.
What's new business?
That's under new business.
I don't know why.
Oh,
I believe I had that under new business.
Okay.
Yes, okay, new business, okay. So going to old business, Auctions International update. RJ has had many calls with questions like, can I put my camper on the property? Can I have electric hooked up to the camper? Can I put a shed on the property? And then there's one deed that says the guests from the hotel can use the property. That hotel was the old Hamilton Inn, which had burned down in 1949. So between myself and Laura, our attorney, they've been working a lot with RJ on Auctions International, and they actually have summarized what can be done to anybody that purchases the property, the uses that they have for it. So that will also be going on Auctions International. He said it's been very busy. So I just kind of wanted to give you an update on that. Any questions, anything different?
I just had a little concern about the minimum bid and the bid increments on the thing. That just didn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
A minimum bid of $5 and increments of $2.50.
No, that's, no, $50 and $250.
Well, it
Yeah.
was $2.50.
Yeah.
That's the way it read. I figured it to be.
Oh, okay, but
I
it's,
think they
okay,
made decimal point. There you go.
Okay.
Both of them.
okay, that's,
That was my only concern, but if it's
Yeah.
corrected, that's fine.
Yeah. I do already know, just to double check that in the morning. Okay, I just want to mention the permissive referendum notice update for the reserve funds was advertised in the Hamilton County Express, and it was posted in Debbie's shadow box. At this time, we have not heard from anybody. The permissive referendum is for 30 days, so the 30th day would be May 14th. So just, that's an FYI for everybody. BTI report, Vi had started on the Oxbow, on the end of Oxbow Lake 2 weeks ago on the Oxbow End Road in the marshy area. She had to go in with snowshoes because she had to get in there before the snow melted, or you cannot get in. And she said that she treated that whole area. Peter Newell and Marty Zegstro will be working as apprentices with Vi for this year, so they will not become certified, just to make sure that they want to make this commitment, and then they will become certified for next year. So that's where we are with the BTI. They've been starting already. So that's the story with that. Anybody have questions on that?
Good.
No? Okay, that's permissive referendum. Okay, next is the bus garage lease discussion. I had sort of sent some ideas that I had to you guys and just see what you guys were thinking. One of the changes I thought was the term of the lease in the beginning was 10 years. I would like to see us cut that down to 5 years. I'm not really sure, and Neil, I'm sure you know why it was 10 years. Was
Just
it due
because
to the
that was
list?
just, no, it was just the history of it. And,
Okay.
The first one was that, and they were carried forth, a few of them by
Okay.
Frank.
Okay.
I think we started with Nick.
Okay, my only concerns are 10 years is a long time, the way, you know, the economy's going and, you know, if things start going wrong, as Randy had said, garage doors and furnace, whatever, 10
less
years from
exposure.
now, absolutely. So I just thought 5 years, if the board is in agreement to that, I'd like to see that. And then at the last meeting, and I believe it was Neil had suggested, that either go 8,000 or 9,000 a year, which 8,000 would be $666 and change a month. 9,000 would be $750 a month. And if we did it for 10,000 a year, it would be $833 and change a month. So I just kind of wanted to see where the board was at.
Those monthlies are based on a 5 year.
5 year. That's based on 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to see where the board all fell in with that. The only other change that I saw was on the back page on number 6. Number B was eliminated in the last one, so we just moved everything down But did anybody see any other changes that they thought we should be looking at?
You have a regular or irregular schedule of when you inspect there? I mean, as far as really on the environmental.
And the environmental, it's monthly.
Oh, that's plenty. That's great.
We do it when we do our tank inspections.
Good.
our
Okay.
engine
Yep.
inspections, and so on and so forth.
So all's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that hasn't been looked at, now, is called out inside the lift.
Mm-hmm.
But they normally let us know when there's any issues with that, because it has to be up in the air and
Right.
so on and so forth.
The user would be aware by
Very
loss of hydraulic, you're putting in, it's going somewhere, if you got a leak. Yeah.
And they usually, they've been right on the spot.
Good.
Telling us if
That's-
there's any kind of leak or.
That's what I wanted to hear, my friend.
Super. So, we don't have to move this tonight. We can move this at the next meeting. And I just wanted to give you guys some food for thought. I wanted to see if anybody else had ideas to fill the board in. Chris, did you have something?
Has this been discussed with representatives of school at all?
No. We're supposed to go through it. Actually, Heather suggested we go through it, and adjust the rent, because now that the lift is paid for, that would be that much less a month. So being it's been 10 years, we might want to adjust the rent to cover other expenses that we may incur.
It's a proposal.
Yeah,
Yes, so
I would be more inclined to put the rent up there, at least the 10,000 mark, because we don't know what expenses are gonna hit us in the next 5 years.
Written into it, as Betsy points out, when you break it down in months, it's negligible, and I certainly wouldn't state that, dig my heels in on a little bit more.
no.
Yeah,
And the 5-year term is wise from a landlord perspective as well.
Okay. So do you guys want to mull this over, and at the next meeting, we'll go ahead and approve it, and then I'll make the changes and get it back to Heather, and she can take it to her board?
just an FYI, it's been $1,328 a month currently, with the lift
Right.
included in,
Right.
so.
So,
Right.
unless less than what?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I'd see no reason to push it back unless others are still on the fence on some of those items.
Chris, do you have any concerns? You want to maybe think about it?
Just a proposal.
So-
We just go ahead and approve it as a proposal.
Exactly.
And we can move forward.
And then they can kick it back with suggestions as well.
Okay.
I'd be happy.
Yeah, as long as it will, we all figure it'll cover the expenses for the maintenance. Like
Yeah.
how sooner the garage door is going to be needed repair. And
Right.
Right, well, that's what
Yeah.
the 10-year thing, I was very nervous about it. The 5-year, this is much better.
Mhm.
We lock in a 10-year for,
It's a long time.
7 years from now, what's the garage door gonna cost?
And like you said, the
Right.
furnace then will be 40 years old.
Well, the furnace is theirs.
I'm talking in
Oh,
where they
yeah,
store the buses.
No,
The back furnace.
that's definitely gonna have to get.
Yeah, so we have to start considering that. So, it would be nice to have that little nest egg, so when we have to
Correct.
replace it, it's there. So, okay.
I'll
So,
move it
Neil, you will? Okay.
as we've been discussed, send it along to LPCA.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so I'll take care of that this week. Okay, under new business, at this time, our town assessor discussion, Dan will be here to complete the year 2020, which will close out on July 1st. We do have 2 people at this time that would be interested in taking the position when it comes to that time. The names are not being given out at this point, but they still are certified and they have retired, but they're doing it kind of on the side. So we have that opportunity when the time comes. But just in case something happens, just an FYI is that the town board can appoint an acting assessor for 6 months, if need be. So just to kind of fill everybody in on that. Next, the zoning board of appeals, appointment. We have a position open. Paul Allen would like to fill that vacancy. The term would be from today, April 5th, 2021 till December 31st of 23. He will be replacing Carol Waller. Right? No, I'm sorry, it's Bill Waller. I'm sorry, I apologize, it's Bill Waller. So I'm looking for a motion, to fill that vacancy with Paul.
So moved.
Okay, a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any,
So when, Betsy?
let me go back, it would be December 31st of 23.
That would finish out Billy Waller's.
That finishes out Bill's term. Yep. Yep. Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, next is, I had sent everybody a copy of this emergency operations for communicable disease plan. This is a plan that the governor put into place to be done by all counties and towns and to be completed by March 31st of 21. And we all actually just found out about this. Kim Burns had gone online to look up other information about 2.5 weeks ago, and she fell upon it and brought it to the county board. So we just passed ours on county level last week. This plan would actually have to be retroactive to March 31st. It does not have to be filed anywhere. It just has to be in our office so that if the state ever came in, we can produce it. And this, I'm sure, is all due to the coronavirus. So everybody had a chance to read it. Does anybody have any questions on it?
Well, it's like,
Yes, it really is. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to accept it.
so moved.
Don, okay, second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next is, I had sent everybody a copy of the letter that we received from LPSA for the Lake Stewart program for 21. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to read that. And we're looking for a motion to go ahead and do agreement with LPSA. It's the same agreement that we've been doing since 2003.
So moved.
Okay, so Neil moved that.
Second.
Don second. Any discussion?
Seems to be working.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so next, number 5, we already did. That was Randy's 284. Did you get that? Do you have that, Debbie? Chris, do you have that? Randy's? Okay. Before you leave, if you could just give it back to myself. Okay, and Randy's gonna take care of that. Okay. As for the pathways, I had the pathways on the agenda for discussion tonight, but at this time, I'm actually going to move that we wait till next meeting. Randy and I are going to be meeting with Dave McComb to go over a few things. And also there's some kind of program that Soil and Water has mentioned. So I have to talk to Bill Farber and Caitlin Stewart to see if there's some kind of funding program. Now, I don't know that because we're already have our own funds, and I don't know how it's going to work. Bill and I played phone tag all day today, so I didn't get the accurate information. So I'd like to table that till next meeting. And hopefully by then Randy and I will have a chance to meet with Dave and go through everything. Okay?
Yeah, I definitely would volunteer to give any service to Dave going forward.
Great.
I know he's got a lot on his plate, and
Yeah.
better to have some dumb labor.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, I will let him know that. Okay.
Yeah,
Neil for dumb labor.
Both of us had said that in the fall,
Mhm.
and just putting it out there. But once you folks have your meetings,
Mm-hmm. And also Paul Cleveland volunteered.
there you go.
Okay, so, yep,
Can I just add one little thing
Sure.
to that? When you talk to Bill, when you, as far as soil and water and such, we will be needing, I was down there a couple of days, we will be needing assistance with the vegetation identification. I know that this is break up.
Here we go, Neil.
Like, yeah. But there's signs that are not supposed to be where they are, this, that, and everything else been moved, and then whatever Don knows, when we go down there to try to identify stuff, we're not the person. to
No,
do it.
right, you used to,
And
it used to be
we tried numbering. them,
Mrs.
we tried
Wilbur and,
numbering them,
yeah.
we tried everything that you can imagine. And it's obvious that is not a Birch Street.
Okay, so,
You know what I mean?
yep.
It's just,
I know where the.
So when you and I and
Picture.
Dave meet, perhaps maybe it's a good idea to see if we couldn't get Caitlin in on that meeting as well. While
There
we're
you
all
go.
together, sit down and let's discuss it, what our options are, and let's.
And Lenny.
by far the biggest
Caitlin and Lenny.
down
Yeah,
that's
Lenny.
down there, you know what I mean? I mean,
People like
You
that,
do the maintenance
when you
part,
have it
everything
marked
else
right,
about it.
sure.
Okay,
Although,
okay. The meeting might not be for like another week because we're waiting till Dave's sap slows down and he's kind of done. Okay, we're making his maple syrup and then we'll schedule it. I did talk to, Karen tonight, so.
Just
Okay.
one thing you could keep in mind too is, I was looking at those picnic areas in the back there, and they don't get used at all.
No.
They've never really been used. They got the barbecues there, and there's not a bit of ash in any of them. My feeling was move them where they're more accessible to the front, and maybe work in conjunction with the village. The village wants to put in a fire tower, if we put a couple of those picnic spots around where the fire tower is going to and turn them over to the village, that might be a better thing to do. So just something while you're looking into it, keep that in mind.
Or also,
Good
you could
suggestion.
move a couple of them out here where people sit until we know
True.
what the village is gonna
Yeah, well,
do.
we have picnic tables out here,
Yeah.
but we don't have, I mean, these have the barbecue grills
Yeah.
that are planted in the ground.
Mhm. Okay, so next, I'm looking for a motion to pay the bills, but I do just want to mention there were 2 bills that the abstracts were missing. And actually, they weren't missing for some reason, they were in the office. So I added them in, the vouchers were there, but the bill parts weren't there. And actually, the one voucher was missing for the county,
Yeah.
fuel bill. We got that, it was mixed in with another pile. So anyway, so I'm looking for a motion, to approve the abstract for March 23rd and also March 31st, both of them at the same time. So, okay,
I'll second.
okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so our next meeting will be Monday, April 19th at the Lake Pleasant Library at 7 PM again. At this time, we don't know about the open meeting law. It may be Zoom again. And it may not, that we just have to play by ear. If we can be open to the public here, we certainly will be.
And I think if the open meeting law goes until the
I
24th.
think it's like the day after our next meeting.
Yeah, something
I think so
like
too.
yeah, because this thing's bound to expire here pretty shortly.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
Okay, so next is public comment. Anybody for public comment? Nobody for public comment. Okay, so next is roundtable. Chris?
I would like to know if you had a chance to pursue the streetlight stuff.
No.
And if you haven't, you want me to see what I can find out?
Sure, if you would.
Okay.
It's been a bit hectic, but that way I'd appreciate it if you have time.
Here.
It's a lot going on. Thank you.
And I want to also ask the board, a funding opportunity has come up
Mhm.
from the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board. And I think I sent that stuff to you guys.
Yeah, Randy and I were reading it.
Okay. I was thinking that this would be a great opportunity to replace the foundation under the town museum, because that would hit 2 of their criteria, tourism and history.
Historical
Yeah.
buildings, yeah.
I'm not quite sure what the 2 were, but I know one was tourism.
Okay.
But it would hit 2 of the things they're looking for.
Check 2 boxes.
And we've missed the deadline for putting in a letter of interest, but I found out that they'll waive that supposedly. So if it's okay with the board, I'd like to pursue that.
I see no
That's a strong
reason
yes
why
here.
not. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what it's gonna require to fill out this application. It may require, I would think it would require having a contractor give us some estimates.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely will.
And Chris, that was the foundation and what?
For the museum.
Yeah. Oh, I thought there were two
The town
things.
owns the building.
Yes,
No,
I thought
she's
there were
saying
two
that
things.
She's
Okay.
saying it checks off in their criterion of what they'll help fund. Some, of any tourist attraction and also for historical
Okay.
buildings, so it's a twofer.
I'm hoping that because it hits two of them,
Yeah,
we might have a good chance.
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, that organization's been out there for a long time, and we've never really had, not never, many years since we've had any real financial input. Where we had a grant given, a big one, and this would be a great opportunity. It's a
okay.
good organization.
Yeah, sounds good.
I forget, Randy, does that have the original foundation under it, or is
The
it?
schoolhouse part of it does.
In
And then
addition,
the other part
The
is
front,
the front.
the front part, yeah.
Chris,
And
the
rest is in
street
the-
lights,
A little older than short.
what was the street light thing that you? Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, so next, Nancy, did you have anything for roundtable?
No.
Neil?
Not
Don?
Quick question, I don't know if it's been answered before either, I seem to be drawing blanks tonight. Horizon Towers, has there been any work done on?
Tax money.
Absolutely.
God knows it, it isn't any better.
Let's let it go to Randy.
Randy's round here.
Okay,
So the tower is almost complete per se as the construction of it at the fault shed. They still have not brought the fiber, that's gonna be on the team that brings the fiber over to the salt shed. But the power stuff that's been done, the boxes are on the walls, everything is up in the air. They're well on their way, and that same crew is doing the one at the county building. So I assume that one is going just as well as ours.
Mhm.
So now, as far as any more in the town, I don't know. That crew is doing those too.
They could be a big help, those two.
It started last Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day we got the snow, of course, and wanted to put panelists in front of the salt shed, and I said, you can't do that today. So, they were willing to work around it.
Oh, that was speaking of salt.
Mhm.
Has the state come up with any more salt remediation after the winter experience? Okay.
okay, so if nobody has anything else, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn
So moved.
in a second.
Second,
Okay, goodbye, everybody.
there is a national championship basketball game about to start.
Good night.